Well, good evening. Welcome to Bedtime Stories with me, Pastor Michelle. Today's Sunday, November 22nd, and our woman of the hour is Rebecca Lee Crumpler, and she was a famous physician. From the very beginning, caring for others was part of her life. She was raised in Pennsylvania by her aunt, who provided health care services to the people in her neighborhood. The passion for helping her community became her life's mission. She attended a private school in Massachusetts and went on to work as a nurse for many years. In 1860, she applied to an all-white medical school, the New England Female Medical College, a bold and risky move, but she was accepted. Rebecca graduated in 1864, becoming the first African-American woman physician in the country. Out of more than 50,000 physicians in the U.S. at the time, only about 300 were women, and Rebecca was the only black woman. She began her practice in Boston, specializing in the care of women and children, but when the Civil War came to an end, she moved to Richmond, Virginia, to work with Freedmen's Bureau. The fallen Confederate South was extremely hostile to the newly freed slaves, so Rebecca worked with the borough to provide health care to them. Rebecca had been born free in Delaware, the state with the highest number of free blacks before the war. She was new to the adversity and racism of the South, but she endured it for the sake of helping the poor and needy. Throughout her career, she had a particular passion for helping women and children. In 1883, she published a two-part text titled A Book of Medical Discourses. The first part focuses on care for infants, and the second part on women's health. It is possibly the first medical article published by a black woman. So there you have it. All right, so let's hear our Disney story of the night, shall we? And it is from Lilo and Stitch, and it's called The Meaning of Thanksgiving, because we are getting close. "Here, Stitch," Lilo said. "Hold up this pilgrim man while I tack up his wife." Stitch was confused. He was hungry and didn't understand why Lilo was running around hanging up decorations instead of eating. "It's Thanksgiving. You're supposed to be very, very hungry before you eat, just like the pilgrims, you know." Now Stitch was even more confused. That's where Thanksgiving comes from. The pilgrims were hungry, so the Indians made them a big dinner, and they were all thankful. "Pilgrims?" Stitch repeated uncertainly. "Pilgrims. The pilgrims were some people who came across the ocean in these big boats," and just then Lilo had an idea. "I know how to explain it. Stitch, the pilgrims were sort of like you. Remember how you came to Earth far, far away from your old planet in a spaceship?" Stitch nodded. He remembered that well. "Okay, and remember how you were lost and all alone and you weren't sure what to do and everything seemed strange and unfriendly? And then you joined our family and it was okay?" "Family!" Stitch cried happily. He nodded again. "Well, that's the same thing. You're like a pilgrim and now you're thankful to be here, right?" "Right. That's how the pilgrims felt too. They were thankful. So now we celebrate Thanksgiving to remember that. Get it?" Stitch nodded. He understood about being thankful. He still wasn't sure why Lilo was hanging up so many decorations. And he still wasn't sure why they had to wait so long to eat the turkey. He could smell cooking in the kitchen. But he decided it didn't matter. When Lilo left the room to get more decorations, Stitch took a small bite out of the cardboard pilgrim. By the time Lilo returned, the whole pilgrim was gone. She looked around in confusion. "What happened to the pilgrim?" Stitch grinned at her. There was a tiny piece of the pilgrim's hat stuck in his teeth. Lilo stared at it suspiciously. "Happy Thanksgiving," Stitch cried. All right. So, my friends, God bless you all, and have a good night.